Welcome to Talk Tuesday, a series dedicated to empowering youth and families. This series is brought to you by SEPS Foundation, where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. Each month, we explore meaningful topics designed to inspire growth, spark creativity, and equip our listeners with the tools they need to thrive. I'm Alexandra Jorge, the Advocacy and Outreach Coordinator here at SEPS Foundation. This month, we're diving into a topic that every person faces at some point in their life, but few talk about openly: rejection. Whether it's a relationship that didn't work out, not making the team, being turned down for an opportunity, or feeling left out, rejection hurts. But what if we could see it not as a reflection of our worth, but as a moment to grow, reflect, and build resilience? Rejection doesn't have to stop us, it can shape us. It can point us in a new direction, strengthen our self worth, and remind us that our value is not defined by who says no to us, but how we say yes to ourselves. This February, we're learning how to face rejection with courage, protect our peace, and turn every closed door into a step toward a better one. Whether you're a teen, a parent, or just someone figuring it out, you're not just your setbacks. You're your strength, your bounce back, and your next bold step. Let's get into it because your comeback story starts here. I'll pass it over to Anastasia to start our questions.
Hello. So, for our last week, we're going to talk about bouncing back with grace and confidence. So, the first question is, what does it really mean to bounce back from rejection?
She want to start us off deep. That was deep. I think just being ready to get back up and try again. Because I feel like sometimes we will hear the words no, and we equate no to our worth or no to who we are. But we got to be willing to get back up and try again, or just be willing to keep going. And so I think bouncing back from rejection is just that our willingness to continue to try, our willingness to continue to thrive and learn as we go. I think for me, that's what bouncing back means. I love when people tell me no, because that no means I'm gonna get a yes from somebody, and it don't gotta be you.
I agree. I also believe that is true. It's almost like a motivation or like a drive to keep you going. But I also take the bouncing back part as that reflection moment of the best way to put it, like awareness, what went wrong. And it's not about what you did, but what what could you do the next time? Because it's not always your fault. And also just being accountable of the situation. If something went wrong and it was on your accord, or if it wasn't, it's not the end of the world.
I'm curious because I'm gonna put my teens on the spot. Yeah, y'all knew it was coming. What bounce back mean to y'all? How we bouncing back?
I think it's like not forgetting why you did what you did in the first place. And like you said, like keep trying and not giving up just because you got one no.
I feel like it's being able to take that now and turning it into better. So like being able to take the rejection and turn it into fuel or turn it into more of a reflection piece for you and how to do better.
Okay, okay, I love that. So, since we're talking about that, then why is grace important when we're recovering from that said setback or rejection?
This is my favorite part because I love this part, and I talk about this a lot. But I think we are our own worst critic. we will say all the worst things to ourselves before we ever say it to anybody else. So I feel like being the friend to yourself that you are to other people helps you to build that grace for yourself. Because oftentimes we're telling a friend, right? Hey, it's okay. You can always do better or just try it again the next time. But when it comes to ourselves, we never really tell ourselves those things. It's like, oh my gosh, it sucks. It's the end of the world. And you think all worst case scenarios. So I feel like grace is just as important for yourself as it is with a friend. So sometimes we have to be reminded to be that friend to ourselves that we are to other people in order for us to learn how to talk to ourselves in a better way and understanding that we are all human and you have the right to make mistakes. Mistakes are supposed to happen. Nobody is perfect, but it's what you do with the mistake or what you do with the rejection that matters on the other end. So we're going to get no's. No's happen. It's inevitable. But that was that person's choice. So the grace for ourselves is understanding that we can't control someone else's answer, but we can control what we do with that answer. And so we take it and we make it a lesson and know that we are capable of getting the thing that we feel we deserve. We are capable of stepping into the room and owning it if we say that we want to own it. So just being able to boost yourself up and give yourself that confidence and that grace is why it's important because that is how you continue to build self-confidence.
I like that. Now, I have to hit my hypothetical questions every now and then. And I would love my students to give me their perspective on this. But what if you get an F on an exam that you studied so hard for? Or here comes report cards and you got a D. You got to go home and show your parents or your guardian. What do you do in that moment? How do you get back? How do you give yourself grace from that setback?
Well, how you go ahead, go ahead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can go.
Oh, okay. All right. So how you bounce back from that is you try harder. Even though you study for that exam, there's always next time. It's not the whole grade. And again, for that report card, you over here, you got that D or that F. It's okay because you got a whole nother 3 quarters you can do to get that grade up, to get your GPA up. It's 1 quarter. Yeah, it's 1.5 of a semester, but it doesn't mean the next half got to be just as bad. So you can always bounce back. It's how you take that rejection.
I think it's like knowing that one grade doesn't define you and being able to like forgive yourself and also like remember how much work you put into it, no matter like what the outcome was, and not forgetting like to do that the next time and just keep improving.
I love this. I would say there's a lot of layers behind that, and I wish Smitty was here to put his layers into this. But I would say for me, a couple things I do for when I'm in that position is I try not to panic because I know a lot of impulses come when you get rejection or when you have a setback and you are just in that mode of immediately fixing the situation when there's nothing you can do at that moment. So I would suggest starting, I guess, reintroducing it to yourself. So go to your professor or go to your teacher and talk to them about it because building that relationship can help so much better with the grade, way more than you thought. Also, getting into tutoring, seeing what you can do about it, because studying by yourself is one thing, but studying with another person is another because they can identify your weaknesses and your strengths more than you can. And being honest with yourself, that's a very important manner. Um, can I get one of my college students, to give me their part? Because from a college standpoint, it's super stressful because once you get an F on something, baby, that GPA will go down. So what would you do?
Yeah, I think being able to hold yourself accountable is also a big thing once you are a college student, and looking at like why it got you there and how you got there, but also being able to show yourself grace at the same time, like we talked about before. And then, just looking towards the future and seeing what you could do, to fix that grade, and going to your professors like office hours, and taking every extra credit opportunity possible. Um, it's just again like what you do with certain things that, life gives you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely treating every setback into a setup and just giving you guys some grace. Like give yourself some grace sometimes, you know. Um, Things happen. You do bad things, or you didn't like maybe you didn't study hard enough, or you get distracted, or things life just happens sometimes. And that sometimes ends up reflecting in your work ethic and your grades and et cetera, et cetera. But it happens to everybody. It's not like it's only a monolith that only happens to you. So once you have that mentality, okay, I'm not the first one. I'm not going to be the last one to fail a class. It's just to take this opportunity to reflect. What can I do better? How can I can get asked for more assistance, whether it be going to my TA, to my professor, to a tutoring center, and then take that fail into a future win.
I feel like we should get cash. At this point, we have to get cash instead of coins. See, I love these perspectives because when you have the different level of educations, you have such a wider perspective when it comes to setbacks with grades. On one part, you're like, okay, I'll get it back up. On another part, you're like, this is my whole life. This is my whole life. I don't know what to do with it. So these were really good answers. Okay, so here's a hard one for y'all. What is the difference between resilience and perfectionists? These get mistaken a lot.
Oh, I got an answer for this one. See, resilience is seeking improvement, but still taking the mistakes along with it and improving upon it. Not completely fixing the mistakes, but accepting the mistakes for that time and being able to improve upon it over time while still expecting mistakes to be there. Perfectionist is like everything has to be perfect at all times. There can't be any mistakes. If there are mistakes, I'm worthless and there's something wrong. That is a huge difference because the mindset of a perfectionist and the mindset of resilience is two different things. Because resilience is going to move along and improve over time. Perfectionist is like go, go, go. I need this now. I need perfection now. Resilience is perfection later and perfection over time.
I love where you was going with that, Lamar. I see the vision there. And I can kind of agree with that. Resilience is really about being able to have that grace and understanding that you can bounce back from a thing when it's really hard and when you get disappointed. Perfectionism is you're slowing yourself down because nothing to you will ever be right because you're looking for the perfect end result and there'll never be a perfect end result. So for your resilience, you're taking it at face value and you're understanding that what worked worked and what didn't work. But when you're stuck on a thing being perfect, nothing around you will ever move forward because you're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect answer, the perfect timeline, the perfect structure, and none of that is possible. So I'd say perfectionism is your roadblock and resilience is your breakthrough.
T. Absolute money spread right there. I love that. Lamar was the PB, you were the jelly. I love it. This was a good one. I can't even add no input. I can't even add no input to that. Okay. Well, with that, I would say, why is self-forgiveness important after failure? I do believe that self-forgiveness ties in with resilience and perfectionism because, like Abby said, perfectionist is what breaks you down, but resilience is your breakthrough. But while you're in the process of getting through your breakthrough, you kind of get into a unforgiving season for yourself on like why was I like that? There were so many opportunities I could have missed, or there's so many opportunities I've missed because of me being a perfectionist, or there's so many relationships that was damaged because of it. So why is this so important after you get through that in any season? Failure, setbacks, everything.
I think personally it stops the cycle of self-punishment. So like you like if you're constantly like going against yourself, being your own worst enemy, your own worst critic, it's going to be hard to start moving forward because you're becoming your own roadblock in life. So once you have that self forgiveness for yourself, even sometimes for others or for your own behavior or whatever it needs to be, it's just a tool for growth rather than a source of shame.
I love that. I love that answer 1,000%. Um, I feel like even thinking about how sometimes we look at bounce back, and then even when we talk about like giving ourselves grace, it rolls into that same punchline of self forgiveness. We don't often do it. So, the same way we don't give ourselves grace, we really do not give ourselves that self forgiveness. People will carry a thing with them for years and years and years, and then they're missing things along the way because they didn't learn to forgive themselves for the thing that they didn't do. And I feel like, again, it goes back to that, what does it look like when you are giving yourself grace? Learning to say, okay, I didn't get it this time, but I can get it the next time. And learning to say, okay, I messed up, and moving forward. So I feel like us just looking at ourselves and saying, I can't continue to beat myself up over the thing that I don't have or the thing that I didn't receive is our way of giving ourselves self forgiveness. We can't get all the things all the time. That's just a part of life. And so we have to be able to say, I'm good for the next time. Or this is what I'm going to do to improve myself in order to be in the runnings for the next time. Or this is what I'm going to work towards in order to be better the next time. I think the action that we put forward after we get a rejection helps us with that self forgiveness too.
And so, what do you do when you're in a loop of feeling like you wasted time and you're seeing other people make the accomplishments at your age when you should have been in that position, but you're not there? When do you, or I wouldn't say when, but how can you get yourself out that loop and give yourself grace? Because it's harder to say it. Well, it's harder to do it than say it. I mean,
1,000%. Self reflection is key. Self reflection, and then what action are you taking to get to that point in life where you really do want to be at? So, self reflect and action steps is what helps you get out of the loop. But if you're going to be the person to constantly feel sorry for yourself, you're going to stay in that loop, in that circle. And so, again, this is where that self forgiveness comes in. Come on, Alexandra, I see.
I was just about to say, I think sometimes also self-reflection gets mistaken a lot for comparison a lot of the times, especially for younger people. And I think that learning how to accept your not necessarily like your flaws, but your mistakes and your setbacks are really important because the time that you give thinking but all of those setbacks could have been, time that you could have thought about other things, that could have helped you, if that makes any yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm going to answer your question with another question. Ask yourself, are you them? Because you're not. We all had different circumstances. We all had different areas in life. We all had different pathways in life, right? And we all had different setups in life. So because you didn't take the steps to become them, that's not, it is necessarily your fault, but it's what you did. It's in the past now. So now you have to plan those action steps, like you said, Miss Abby, to figure out how are you going to get there to where they're at. And even then, after you get there, go higher. Reach to higher and bigger things after you get to that top, because there's never a true top. It's always higher.
I always like when I hear students who consistently compare themselves to someone else, right? I always ask, do you know their backstory? Because 90% of the time you don't. So you don't know what they had to suffer and endure to get to where they are. And do you think you would be capable of enduring what they endured? Because sometimes we are not able to endure what someone else endured to get to where they got. So sometimes we have to really look at what somebody else went through and then also understand our journey is a story too. So wherever you are heading, you're able to tell a story to someone else that can also inspire them, even if you are not where you think you are supposed to be. And I think we've also said this in a previous episode, right? Sometimes we are where we're supposed to be, even if we don't think that we are. Because again, I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And so just because you're not in that space, it doesn't mean you weren't meant for that space. You weren't meant for that space right now. But it's coming. So what action steps are you going to take in order to get you there so that you don't stay in that constant loop of doubt or that constant loop of self-deflection? Because then you're destructing yourself for no reason.
I agree. I agree with all of this. I would add, oh, it's so hard to add when there were so many good pieces on here. But only thing I would say is your walk is your walk. And what may not inspire you can inspire somebody else. So you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be in a loop, because the more you put yourself in a loop, the more behind you're going to be. You're going to be 18, like, dang, I'm stuck. Then you're going to be 24, like, dang, I'm even stuck. Then you're going to be 30, dang, I am stuck. So you just have to, I am a very solution-based person. So you just have to put yourself in a solutioned situation and find steps. Like Abby said, have an action step. Find ways to get yourself out that loop. Find somewhere to volunteer. Find somewhere where you can talk to people. Find a networking space. Get yourself out of that situation so you can get up. So
I love that you brought that up, Anastasia, because the support you have around you will play a key factor in how you self-forgive and how you give yourself grace too. So find supportive people that can continue to build you up. Because a lot of if you're telling someone a plan and you're telling them where you feel stuck, oftentimes your support system will help you create the action step to get you unstuck. So I love that you brought that up, finding people that you can be around that help support and build you up and help to push you forward so that you don't feel like you're still continuing to go backwards.
exactly. And sometimes it may not be what you want to hear. You could hear it from your guardians and you're like, oh, why did you say it like that? But I mean, so you just have to, maybe you have to process it in your own way, but don't take it in a negative space. They don't ever mean ill towards you. They always want what's best for you. Next question would be, how does confidence look different for different people? And you can look at it as, why does confidence look different for different people? I can say from last episode, I had mentioned Eeyore and how he's such a grumpy mule. But if you've ever watched Winnie the Pooh, you always will see that Eeyore has a different perspective on people's lives. Tigger, Winnie, Piggy, and the other guy. He always felt like, oh, you just have a wonderful life. Like you just got it all packed. Tigger was not always happy. Winnie was always sad when he didn't find honey. Piglet was always scared. So what would you guys explain for why people look at it like that?
I feel like I'm good at what I'm good at. You good at what you good at. And I'm confident in what ability I have. And when I meet somebody else, I'm confident in the ability that you have. And when we come together, we make a dynamic duo. So I feel like sometimes our confidence isn't supposed to look the same as someone else's confidence because it's our journey. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be duplicated. I'm good being me, so nobody else got to be me. I feel like confidence is supposed to look different for people because everybody is journeying differently.
And that's real. And now, I completely agree with what you said. Confidence shouldn't look the same for anybody. Because when you think about it, we all have different mindsets. We're all unique in different ways. We all have different ways of living, different habits. So if confidence looks the same for everybody, then it wouldn't be confidence, it'd be an act when we think about it. Because that act means that somebody isn't really confident. And that's not what confidence looks like for them. That's not true confidence. What we're looking for is true confidence.
Well, how do you get that confidence? What are ways that you can get that? You say like affirmation and giving yourself grace, but what about the ugly parts? Because
learn to cheer for yourself. So sometimes, and I would say everybody don't have a support system. Let's be real, right? So sometimes we have to learn to cheer for ourselves, right? So if something seems really hard, and I mean, take the little small minor thing. You study for an exam, cheer for yourself. That's a day that you decided to study and not go to sleep. Yesterday, you passed a test that was very hard for you. Cheer for yourself because you passed that test. Maybe you don't have an A in the class, but you passed the test, and that's worth you cheering for. So I think sometimes in order for us to be happy and feel satisfied, we have to learn how to cheer for ourselves when no one else is cheering for us.
Definitely. I know earlier in this session, I said that we can be our worst critics, which is true, but you can turn that instead of being your worst enemy to being your best ally.
Perfect. And
What?
I have a follow-up question with that, actually. Let's do a hypothetical question. Okay. Let's say you are working really, really hard and your boss decides to promote your coworker instead of you. And you've been working so, 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 so hard. You've been showing up, you've been communicative, you've been giving everybody their orders, you've been very nice, but they still didn't pick you. So your confidence goes all the way down. What do you do in that situation? Do you take a break from everybody? Do you ghost people? Do you lash out? Do you cry? What do we do to get ourselves back up?
I think emotions are okay no matter what. If like you have to cry it out, you have to cry it out. But I think that um being consistent and the fact that you are doing everything right and more is totally okay. Sometimes people just have certain advantages, unfortunately. May it be, there's a lot of different advantages, like even favoritism, you know what I mean? And even though that's a hard pill to swallow, knowing that it has nothing to do with, you and what you've been doing is okay. So I think that just striving to continue to do what you're doing and doing better is important.
Yeah, it's sometimes you just gotta focus on yourself, definitely. But also it's like give the other person who got the position grace, if they probably earned it. We don't know. We don't know if it was nepotism or if they earned it, but it's also like, hey, you know what? Give them their flowers and then work on yourself. But sometimes you can even ask them, what did you do to like earn this position? Like maybe you can get some pointers from them, get some advice, because we don't know if you worked hard, but maybe they worked 10% harder, 5% harder. They were there longer. Who knows? But it's always good to find out what the other person did, so maybe you can emulate it in the future. And also, you're also networking. So if you buddy with the person that just got the promotion, for the best intentions, by the way, you can also, get yourself a little bit of that heads up, because if you focus on yourself and like, oh, I'm sad, and feel your emotions, because your emotions are valid, but you can also turn that energy, instead of making it something negative for yourself, you can make it something positive for yourself. And who knows, that next promotion could be yours.
See, I love that both of you talked about emotions, because that's exactly where I was headed. Because I'm going to cry it out first. I'm going 100% cry it out. And when I'm done crying, we turn those tears into fuel. So now what needs to happen next in order for that to be me? And I love that Dana said, go talk to the person that got the promotion. Because yes, it is networking. But don't be afraid to ask your boss. Because if they chose a person, you want to know, why did they choose the person? Is there something I can do to improve? Self-improvement is a thing. What we feel we're doing great at sometimes may not be what your supervisor is actually looking for. So don't be afraid to have those conversations either with your boss. But yeah, I'm all for having feelings, because no, look, our feelings are our own and nobody else can tell us how to feel about our feeling. Cry it out. If you got to punch the pillow a couple times, punch the pillow, but don't punch no person.
So you don't
So
get as hard.
right. So feel all the feelings, go through all the emotions, name those emotions. Is it because you're hurt? Is it because you're disappointed? Is it because you're jealous? Is it because you feel let down? Is it because you feel like you're invisible? Name the emotion so that you know where it's really coming from, the feeling that you have. I see you at a station.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's a good part to say. Write it down, because one of the biggest things when it comes to gaining your confidence is letting go of the negative feelings. Like I said, if you were in a position where your boss promoted you, yes, cry that out and don't have your pride on the side and not ask. Having pride to the side, having anger, jealousy still hurt causes your confidence to decrease more than you know. It creates this narrative in your head that people are not good for you, people are not looking out for you, people are jealous of you, and X, Y, and Z, when it may not be the case. Like Abby said, your supervisor isn't probably looking for the things that you have that the other person did or didn't. So, yes, please talk through your emotion, write it down, and talk to the people who got it. Like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. What did you get? For good purposes. Yes, Dana, you add that good part. So, why do setbacks feel heavier for teens and young adults compared to adults? You ever heard the saying, I'll say this part. You ever heard the saying of your parents saying, you don't know hurt till you pay bills? And you're like, well, dang, I still got hurt too. I just wanted to add that part.
I think that was personal, but it's okay. But I feel like why it's so heavy for the younger ones is because they haven't had that experience and it's new to them. So they have to adjust and they have to navigate those feelings and rejections and experiences for themselves. And especially when it's on the younger side. The younger they are, the harder it's going to hit. Because let's say you got rejected from a school, right? And you really, really wanted to go to that school. You gonna feel hurt because they rejected you. They didn't think you were good enough to get into that school. Now, how do you navigate that when you're so young and you haven't really had all that time to develop your skills on yourself to really like reflect, and you haven't had those tools, which is why I feel like it's so hard compared to adults because they've had all that time to mature and all those tools throughout growing up. The teens and young adults haven't really had all of that time to figure things out.
I also think just to add this, like for young adults and teens, I think that we have this idea of like a a time, I don't know the saying, like a time clock that's just like running out, and the idea that, we have to achieve certain things and make it by a certain time. And so I think that pressure increases like so much in us because we have this idea and these certain expectations that we want to withhold, and there's a timestamp.
I love these responses. And I'm gonna go throw this one in up there. I feel like sometimes when we were children, and I say we because I was young once, y'all, back in my day. Uh our parents shielded us from all the hurt. Our parents shielded us from a lot of the rejections of the world. And so when you get your first rejection or your first no as a youth, it stings because you haven't felt it like you felt it now. And so it feels like everything is the end of the world. Hence why when you have students who, this is the first person that I love, and now you have the rejection of that person that you said you were in love with, it feels like the end of the world because you've never felt that rejection before. When you've spent your life playing on a baseball team and you've been told that you were great, you're good, you're good, you're good, and you went and applied for this major league team and they denied you, that feeling hurts because you've been shielded from those things in the past. Now, as a young adult, you have to face more rejections because your parents are no longer there to shield you from them. So by the time you hit your later adult life, you've received several rejections by then, and you've kind of just figured out how to handle them. Now, I'm not going to say you figured out the best way to handle them, but you will have figured out by then how to handle them one way or another. So I think that's where your differences typically come in, is because as youth, like Lamar said, you guys are learning to figure out what to do with that rejection. You're learning like what that no really entails, or what that no, you didn't make the team really means. And I think a lot of times you guys equate that to something personal that you did not do when it's not personal at all. So this is where, again, you are allowed to have those emotions and those feelings, but call them out, name them for what they are, and say it out loud to somebody. This rejection sucked. This hurt. I don't like the feeling. And it's okay to say it. And know that you're going to get many more in life. They're going to come and they're going to go. And keep practicing because you got next.
Yeah, it's like what they say, like at least what my mom used to say is like your first heartbreak is going to be always the worst one. And after, you get older, and then it becomes less painful, but it's just like it's like something new. That's like something new that's been put into your system and you don't know how to process it yet because it's like just oh gosh, what is this? Like, someone just broke up with me. I just lost my first job. I failed my first class. Like, what is this? This is something new that you don't know how to process. So that's why I feel like it's more, maybe the pain is the same, but the way you process it gets handled better as, as you age, because life is going to throw those hard balls like back to back sometimes. So the more hard balls you get thrown at, it's a little bit okay. I got this now. I can process this. I can handle this. And so that's why first heartbreak sucks. Hopefully you
Not
don't reach your 10th heartbreak, but then you're good.
Perfect. Perfect. I love these responses. I'm seeing different perspectives. I'm so glad these perspectives weren't like with from hate to love. So that's always good. That's always good. I would say my only input with that is for it to feel heavier. Hmm. The only thing I would say is the what's the word I'm looking for? Geez, I just got stuck. You know when you tell somebody something, you're like, no, I'm not. That's not it. But you've been in their shoes. I forgot what that word is called.
Sympathy?
But no, not sympathy. I think it's like rebellious. It's rebellious. You know, those people went through that. They have been in your shoes. They know exactly what you're going through. They know what a heartbreak is. Like Dana said, your first heartbreak is always going to be the worst. But from a when I was a young teen, because it wasn't that long ago either, guys, bear with me. Um, that heartbreak was crazy. And when my mom would tell me something like, girl, like you'll be okay, you'll bounce back, I would tell her, like, you don't even understand the migraine I have right now. Or if I would have like a low grade on something, they would tell me, like, it's okay, you'll bounce back. And I'll tell them, like, you don't even understand how my life is gonna turn. I'm never gonna be a nurse after this. So certain things like that, I feel like for younger teens, we're so like in our heads that we become a little bit rebellious with the advice that they give us. And that's why it feels heavier because we're like, you haven't been in our shoes when they actually have. So I would say take heed into what your mentor is telling you or your guardian is telling you because they have been in that position before. And they're not telling you these things just so you can get out of it, but how you can overcome it and avoid it because avoiding it is way better than going through it. So, our last question. What's one thing you tell someone who feels stuck after rejection?
It's not going to be the first time. It's not going to be the last time either, but you can get through it. You're going
Mm,
to take something with you and you're going to be able to apply that to do better and handle it better in the future. There's always going to be a way for you to go through things. You're muted.
My bad. I would tell them to simply get back up and try again. Um, there's gonna be so many times that you feel like it's the end of the world, and so many times that you have those self doubts. But remember what you are capable of, and that you can.
My advice would be just get up again and try again, and that it's okay.
I would say to like remember that everyone has gone through it and you're not like the only one. So if you need to get help, then you like there's help everywhere and advice that you can find just by like telling someone.
Usually I start with letting them like vent all their feelings out because sometimes you just need that good cry with a good friend. But and then afterwards it's like, okay, let's, you won't be like what everyone else has said before. You won't be the first one, you won't be the last one to go through this heartbreak. And if whatever steps you need to go through to need help, I'll be there for you. We'll find some way, some resource to help you out.
Mm,
And then there's one last thing I would tell them is that take your time. Take your time to go through things.
that's very true. Wow. It's just like everybody just stole it from my brain. Thank you. But I would add, let's go get something to eat because we're not thinking about rejection while we're eating. We're not thinking about that. We're eating Chick-fil-A, babe. We're just not. But I would tell them, like, see, don't you feel better? Like, girl, that was just one little thing. Just don't worry about it. Like, just get something to eat. You'll be smoothing out and, you'll get through it. It's a circle of life. If you're not going through rejection, you're going to go through it one way or another. So we might as well just pull that band-aid out because you got to come out somehow. And then we'll go get ice cream.
Just,
I swear
just don't
food make everything better.
Thing.
food, and just don't tell anyone that you're gonna slash any tires. We're all keeping it legal here.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's
Don't do
right.
anything crazy, we're good.
We're good. I can't take you out to eat if you're gonna do something crazy now. I can't do that.
You're now
Listen,
an accomplice.
no anger over here. I don't play like that. Won't catch me on the news.
See, I can't take you to go ice cream if you're sitting in a jail cell. See,
Listen, that's
You
not
can't
my
even do
cup
the
of tea.
recap. You can't even do the recap.
Listen, before we wrap today's conversation, we want to shift from talking about growth to seeing it in action. And this month's theme is all about rejection, how it shapes us, challenges us, and teaches us how to move forward with confidence. And our youth program ambassadors are taking that message one step further by connecting it to real life relationships and real life choices. So now we're going to pass the mic to one of our youth program ambassadors to share what they've been working on and how you can get involved.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abigail Robles, a youth program ambassador with Steps Foundation, and I want to speak to you for a moment, especially if rejection has ever made you doubt yourself. This month, we've talked a lot about rejection and moving forward. And sometimes moving forward means recognizing when something or someone isn't healthy for us anymore. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and our advocacy initiative is rooted in one powerful belief: love should never hurt. If a relationship leaves you feeling anxious, controlled, isolated, or afraid to be yourself, that's not love. And choosing yourself in these moments isn't weakness, it's courage. And if you're committed to learning, healing, and growing, we've got more opportunities for you this month. There's the Youth Mental Health First Aid on February 28th at 9:30 a.m., which is a powerful certification that equips you to recognize and respond to mental health crises in youth. This month is about more than events. It's about knowing your worth, protecting your peace, and choosing growth even when rejection hurts. You can register for events at www.stepsfoundation.org/events and follow us on social media at Steps Foundation Inc. You deserve relationships that feel safe, you deserve support, and you deserve to move forward stronger than before.
Rejection can feel personal, painful, and even paralyzing, but it doesn't get the final say. What does? Resilience, self-worth, and growth. This month, we're leaning into the hard stuff. We're talking about the sting of rejection, the importance of knowing your worth, and how every no can lead into a greater yes. It's important that we remind ourselves that setbacks are set-ups for something stronger, and that how we bounce back says more about us than any obstacle we face. So, as you move forward, remember, you are not your missed opportunity. You are not your lowest moment. You are your resilience, your purpose, your brave next step. You keep learning, you keep reflecting, and most of all, you keep showing up for yourself with grace, confidence, and courage. Now, to close us out, I'm Dana Ortega, and it's been an honor wrapping up this powerful conversation with you. Thank you for being a part of Talk Tuesday this month. Hope to see you next month. And remember, the power of positivity is always within you. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, stay true to yourself, stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep leading the way. And have a good night.